Welcome to How It All Started podcast in North Iowa. My name is Erick Nganyange, and my special guest today is the owner of Jitters Coffee Shop. Is it Jitters Coffee Shop or Coffee Bar?
Coffee Bar.
Coffee Bar?
Yep.
What's the difference?
Nothing.
Oh, Candy Elsbury.
I really think shop sounded to me like a Maid-Rite type
Okay.
coffee place, you know? So Coffee Bar just was a little more serious.
Okay. Well, Candy's in the house today, man. Candy, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Where's the name Jitters coming from?
Well, when Scott and I were trying to decide what the name was going to be, he wanted Uncommon Grounds. And I thought of Jitters. And I thought you can come to us if you want to have your jitters taken away, or if you need a little boost, we can do that too. So
Nice.
kind of silly, nothing really, but
Yeah. That's interesting, though,
Yeah.
because
give it to you or take it away,
yeah.
one or the other.
as you can tell, Scott is not here. There's another owner of Jitters,
Yep.
who's married to Candy, for the simple reason that Scott basically is scared to be on a podcast.
That's right.
I don't think there's anything else. He said he does not have anything to say, but I think it's the fear. But one of these days, I'll get him to the podcast to talk. We'll see.
Once you get him talking, he's not going to stop.
That's the best guest.
Yep.
Yeah, so I still have hope. I think most people who come to Jitters, they see John all the time. You know, I thought John was your dad.
Most people do think John is my dad.
So one time I asked Scott, I was like, is that Candy's dad? And Scott, of course, Scott was there. He acts like it. That was his Scott response. So what is you guys' relationship with John?
I met John actually before we started Jitters.
Oh, okay.
So I was married before and farmed land. And John would come around and inspect. And
the land?
Yeah. Jump
Yeah.
forward several years, and John started coming in to the coffee shop. And I remember thinking, I think I know that guy. I think I remember him from before.
Yeah.
He ended up having a heart attack. And so he was off work for several weeks, and he would come and literally spend the day at Jitters. So we really got to know him then during the time that he was healing. You know, we started inviting him to our holidays, birthday parties, picnics, because he doesn't have, he has a sister who he wasn't real close to at the time. So he really became our family.
Oh, wow.
And it has just evolved over those 25 years, and he really is. I really give a lot of credit to who I am today, to John.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he has become like my dad, and
Okay.
he tells people I'm his daughter. So
Oh, that's what Scott says. Like, yeah, he acts like one.
Yeah.
I was like, now, where were you born and grew up?
I was born in California,
Oh,
lived there a very short time.
what part?
I was born in Goleta, which I believe is south of LA.
Okay.
And then my parents moved to Minnesota, which is where I lived until I was about 9, and then moved to Iowa. And I've been here ever since. But
Okay.
I pretty much think of Minnesota as home.
Okay.
I think where you have your memories the most, which is when you're a kid, that's where home is.
Yeah. So you were born in California and moved there right when you were baby?
2 years old.
Oh, 2 years?
Yeah.
And then you came to Minnesota for another 7 years?
Yep.
And then what part of Iowa did you guys move to?
I called us vagabonds. We were all over the place.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
You're moving around a lot?
We moved around a lot.
Why?
You know, well, my mother remarried.
Okay.
And the gentleman worked for the railroad.
Oh, yeah. That'll get you moving.
So we lived, I think we lived in Marshalltown, LeGrand, and maybe then it was Clear Lake was the final. But
Okay.
prior to that, I think we maybe moved like 10 times.
Oh, wow.
So I literally do not have anywhere that I have childhood friends or, you know, when you hear somebody talking about, oh, yeah, we went to school for 10 years together.
Yeah.
I wasn't anywhere for really more than 2 until high school.
Do you think that affected you making friends or maintain friends in a way? Or not really?
Yeah, no, I do think so.
Okay.
I really can't look back and say that I have childhood friends at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was kind of strange because when I moved here, it was 8th grade. And I just remember kind of digging my heels in thinking, if you don't like me, I don't care. I don't need friends. I've never had friends. I don't need friends.
And I might move anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I kind of had an attitude, I think, about that. And it was maybe more about protecting myself.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Siblings?
Yes.
How many?
There's 4 of us. So I am number 3 of 4. I have a brother who is the oldest, and then there's 3 girls.
Oh, so it's only one boy?
Yep.
Oh boy.
Poor guy.
Oh, but he's the oldest though.
He is.
Oh, okay, so he can run the ship a little bit.
That's right.
Yeah. So you went to Clear Lake High School, or did you go to?
Yep, I went to Clear Lake.
Class of what?
Class of 84, which is kind of an interesting story. I think it has a lot to do maybe with like where I am today and a story of how it might not look like it's starting out that great, but it really does turn out okay. I got pregnant when I was 16, decided that I wasn't going to finish school because I needed to raise this child, which I have no idea where that really came from. I just had a strong desire that someone else was not going to raise her.
Oh, wow.
And I never thought about like, well, what's my job going to be? I'm just raising this child. Her dad and I got married when Tabitha was 6 months old. So I got my GED right away. I at least thought, okay, I at least need to do that because I feel like I've graduated, even though I didn't physically graduate with my class. And my former husband was in the same class as me. He did finish high school, worked a part-time job at McDonald's 2 hours after school. Yeah. And his parents actually had given us the money that was set aside for college to pay for our housing. And basically groceries for that first year so that he was able to finish school and still, try to bring in some money, like so we could get haircuts and things like that. But so I actually I would have graduated in 84, but I had my daughter in 83 when I was 16, and we got married when we were 17.
Oh, okay. Was your parents okay for you guys to get married?
I think my mother cried.
Oh.
And I'm not sure.
Good tears or bad tears?
Well, I think it was like, what in the world?
What are you doing?
Yeah. Because you couldn't even get married in Iowa without a judge's consent back in that time. And so we went to South Dakota. To get married where we didn't have to, because they would have never said, I think this looks like a good plan. And I was married for 12 years, though, so it wasn't.
12 years actually is a long time, though. Yeah. I mean, especially when you're that young.
Right.
I'll probably have a heart attack if my daughter's married at 17.
Yes. Yeah, thank God my girls didn't go down that same path, but I wouldn't change it for anything because, my life wouldn't be today what it is.
Yeah. How much did that change you? Because you had to grow up real fast.
Right. Well, I don't think it changed me much, which is kind of crazy to think that, but I had to grow up really young. When I was 8, I was doing laundry and cooking and just doing a lot of things. So I was pretty mature for my age.
Okay.
And I think part of it is like, I don't know what I didn't know. Yeah. When people,
That's
go
true.
off to college and say, oh, don't you, kind of miss that you couldn't, well, I couldn't miss it because I have no clue what it's even about. A really funny story. I remember my friends asking me if I wanted to scoop the loop with them. And I was pregnant with Tabitha. And I said, I think I might kind of ruin your fun that you're going to have. Do you think these boys are going to be interested in you with that pregnant girl in the backseat?
Yeah.
It was just kind of funny, but I didn't ever enjoy that sort of thing. So I'd never had a wild side really.
Growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, at any time. So I just don't feel like I really missed anything.
Did you grow up real strict? Oh, not really.
My mother was strict, but it was about like, you can't go to Pizza Hut after the football game. Oh. And I'm thinking, why not? I'm going. And then I get grounded. And I'm thinking my rebellion was going to Pizza Hut after the football game. And I think, well, it's worth it. What did I do? And then, kind of in a funny way, my mom wasn't home a lot. And so she wouldn't have known whether I stayed home for my grounding anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So part of that was my rebellion, like that sort of thing. Outside of the fact, how can you say that? And, you're pregnant.
you grew up in a farm?
I raised my girls on a farm.
Oh,
yep.
really?
Yep. We raised elk and deer.
Okay.
And at one time we had pheasants and geese and sheep. And I'm trying to think of what other animals. And then we farmed about 10,000 acres.
Really?
Yeah. And I fed all of those men that were helping with that lunch and supper about 9 months out of the year.
Wow.
So I didn't work outside the home, but I worked really hard in the home.
In the home, yeah. Because 10,000 acres is not a joke.
No.
That's a lot of land.
Yep.
I did not know you grew up in a farm like that.
Yeah. And when I lived in Delano in Minnesota, we were on the farm also.
Okay.
Which the funny thing is like, I don't like getting dirty. I didn't like dirty hands. Just that Miss Prim and Proper, always had my hair just so. And I was the last person you would ever think was going to be on a farm.
You got 3 daughters.
I have 2.
Oh, you got 2. Mm-hmm. Why was I thinking 3?
I don't know.
I don't know why I was thinking. Yeah, in my mind, I was thinking 3.
Mm-hmm.
So Tabitha was the first one, and the second one is Sarah?
Sarah.
Yeah,
yep.
Sarah.
Yep.
And then they blessed you with how many grandkids?
I have 5.
5.
I have 2 granddaughters who are the oldest, and then 3 little grandsons.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How much those grandkids changed you?
Oh, now they've changed me. That's what's changed me. I remember thinking, hearing people say how great grandparenting was. And I'm thinking, what is the big deal?
Yeah.
I could not imagine what I didn't know, kind of back to that, what I had said before. I took everything more serious. And I think the biggest thing for me in the grandparenting is if I can be there, I'm going to be there. Occasionally I might miss something, but I love it. It's not like a guilt or an obligation. Mm-hmm. I don't want to miss these things. Yeah. I remember when Savannah, my oldest granddaughter, who works here now at Jitters with me, it was sad for me thinking there'd be a time where she wasn't going to just sit on my lap. And I don't remember thinking about that with my girls. Not that that wasn't important, but there were so many other things going on that I wasn't. But I think teaching them about faith in God is the most important thing for me to do with them and to, show that in how I live, the things that I say, the things that I do. There's evidence of that stuff that the girls will share with me or say, or their mom will say, and that is super important. Yeah.
Yeah, I always say the grandparent, and I'm not a grandparent, but I talk to a lot of them. Mm-hmm. I think the funny part of grandparenting is there's no obligation.
Right.
There's no responsibility. These kids can come over here. They can eat sugar if they want to, right. And I'll drop them off at your house. I know they got to sleep at 9:30. Good luck.
That's
because
right.
They'll be wide awake.
Yep.
Also, you get to teach them certain things you missed when you're raising your own kids. Because when you're raising kids, it's like, it's running. It's like you always got something going on.
Yeah, I think I've spent more time in the kitchen with my granddaughters than I did my girls. Every time, the girls stayed overnight every weekend for years. In that, I didn't want to go out to eat. I want to make memories with them and doing things, not sitting in a restaurant. But we do go to restaurants, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I wanted to teach them how to make scrambled egg and, how to grate cheese, just whatever, all that.
Because those are life lessons that they're going to remember for the rest of their lives. So it's fun. And it's fun. Yeah. Yeah. So it's crucial doing that. Yeah. So 12 years you're farming.
Yep.
I'm guessing.
Yep.
And then that life stops. Are you then moving back this way?
I moved.
Oh, are you here?
I'm here.
Oh, you're here.
Yeah, we lived in Clear Lake.
Okay.
Yep.
When are you meeting Scott?
So I met Scott a few years after my divorce. And I did need to go to work outside of the home at that point and was lucky enough to be home with my girls for several years as a stay-at-home mom.
That's a blessing.
It is a huge blessing. Yeah. And I really think it molded them into the amazing women that they are today. I look at them and compare them to other, people, kids their age. They're not kids anymore. for adults their age. And I just see like a total different work ethic and a family value and things like that. And I like to think it had something to do with being a stay-at-home parent. So anyway, I ended up becoming an esthetician. An esthetician is a skincare specialist.
Okay.
I gave facials and, showed women that it was okay to relax and spend some money and time on themselves. So it was a great, relaxing job. But I needed coffee before I went to work.
Every morning?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. And Scott had moved back here to start. Well, his brother started a restaurant, and Scott came back and did the coffee portion of it.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I'm coming in every morning.
Scott is coming back from where?
Seattle.
Seattle. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yep. He really got on my nerves, actually. And it's kind of funny because I would say, I'll do my own cream. You don't know how
so
much.
Scott was working at his brother
restaurant that had a coffee shop.
Coffee shop.
Just a small one in the front.
Okay.
So I go in there, and he continues to put cream in my coffee.
On your coffee.
And I have to preface that I didn't like men very well at the time. So it was...
Yeah, because you're a few years fresh off divorce.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I'm still working through that. And I would say, please stop doing that, because I'm pretty direct. I just say what I think and, whatever. Not rudely, but, know. And he would continue to do it. So I just remember thinking, that guy really gets on my nerves, that I would like him really to stop putting that in for me, because it doesn't taste the same.
Okay. Hang on, Candy. Why you did not want us to start going to a different coffee shop? Was it part of you liking him?
Oh, no. No, absolutely not.
Because you get annoyed. Because if you get annoyed on at the business a couple times, you go like, you know what? Forget about it.
Yeah.
I'm going somewhere else.
So maybe I did, and I didn't think about it. But bingo, right?
Yep, because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you're getting annoyed, but you kind of like this guy, so I'll put up with him for a couple more times.
A few more times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, he ends up sending a raspberry mocha down to where I work. And the lady says, that guy up at that coffee shop sent this down. He found out it was my birthday. I said, who? And she said, that guy who's interested in you. I said, I have no idea who you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I did not even put that together. And I'm like, I wouldn't touch a raspberry mocha with a 10-foot pole. So that was super funny that he would do that. I don't like raspberry. I do like chocolate, but it was like, okay. So I just thought, I don't even know what you're talking about. Well, he ends up asking me out on a date. I was just petrified, and I despise lying. So I'm going to say that first. I do not like lying. Yeah. And I lied so easy on that. I'm like, what? I didn't even expect it. So I said, no, I need to get home. I think there's a storm coming or something.
So you did not expect, because you are not ready to start dating at that point?
Yeah, I was not.
Or did you just shut down and close that door? It's like, okay, I'm going to focus on this right now. I don't want to hear anything about it.
Yeah, I did not. I was not interested whatsoever. And so he asked me a second time, calls me.
How did he get your number?
He knew where I worked.
Oh, he called you at work?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be harassment right now, Scott.
Asked me, again, and I made up another story.
Yeah.
And the third time, he says, okay, you're going to just go out for pizza with me or something. And I said, if I can bring my mother, I will meet you.
That's one of my favorite stories. That story is funny.
Yeah. And he agreed. So I guess he was serious if he's actually going to take me out. And
you're doing all this to blow him off.
I'm just thinking, just go.
Get it over with.
Get it over with, and be done with it. About 10 minutes into us sitting there, and by the way, he brings his brother.
Okay, let's go back a little bit. Now you're telling your mom. But by the way, I love your mom. She's funny. She's a sweet lady.
She is a sweet lady.
Now you're telling your mother, hey, Mom, I got to talk to you. I'm going on a date, and I would like to bring you. Because your mom, you look like she's a straight shooter.
Right.
I can only imagine what she told you. What was her reaction?
Well, I think she was all game for it. She had met Scott because my mom actually was working in the same spa
Okay.
as me at the same time doing pedicures and manicures. So she had met him, and I think she thought he was kind of nice.
Yeah.
But when I said, that tall guy, because that was how I would make reference to him, that tall guy at the coffee shop, he asked me out on a date, and I need you to go with me because I don't know that I even really want to go, but, would you go? And she ends up saying, he has children. And I said, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, yeah, he does, because long story short now, too, my aunt was the receptionist at this spa.
Oh.
So we have like a whole bunch of family in a setting that it's not even our shop.
Spying on Scott.
Yeah. And she said, oh, yeah, because I know Jennifer said she heard him talking about his boy. And I said, I think that I would know if he had a kid or something, somewhere in this time. It ended up being his dog that he was talking about. And if anybody knows Scott, he loves his dog, and they're his children, and that kind of crazy stuff where unless you know him, you think that's nuts. Yeah.
The guy who don't travel without a dog.
Right.
So you ended up going on a date with you and your mom. I mean, the date for you and Scott.
Yes.
You and your mom, and Scott said, okay, if you're going to bring your mom, bring my brother.
Right. That's right. So we went to the OP for pizza.
Oh, the old OP?
The old OP here in Mason City. Yep. And
what year is this?
This was 2000.
Okay.
About, 10 or 15 minutes into us chatting and not paying attention to my mother or his brother. I didn't even see anybody, hear anybody else. It was everything. We had just the best conversation. I couldn't even tell you what it was, but it was the best conversation. And I remember that night, which I thought, this is so crazy, but I thought, I think there's something to a soulmate. Wow. That I always heard about a soulmate. I'm thinking, how would you know? There's billions of people. You wouldn't know. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly what I thought of him as. Like, I think that's what people are talking about. And we got married 3 months later. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So going from you irritate me to lying about I can't go out on a date for this reason to,
And persistence, too, for him.
Right, yeah.
Because he could easily be like, all right, maybe not.
And if you know Scott at all, that is so unlike his personality. He'll tell you that he lost a $500 deposit on an apartment in Boise, Idaho because of me.
Oh, really?
So he was
he was about to move.
Yeah, because it wasn't working out for him and his brother working together.
Yeah. So he was about to move to Idaho, and then
I went on the date with him.
Well, he lost money, but he gained a wife.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, man, and you guys been married for 20?
It was 24 years.
24 years. Wow.
And we started Jitters.
In the same year?
We started Jitters about 4 days after we got married.
Whoa.
So we had been talking about it like, well, you're not going to work for your brother, and
we might as well do our own thing.
I have this job, but we could just get a little cart and stick it out front, and let's just see what this is about. And you might be asking me this, but when I was married before, I had been in Colorado and had a coffee and a scone at a place where I thought, this is the best scone I have ever eaten in my life. And we were driving, so I'm just taking a bite at a time and savoring it. And the atmosphere in this coffee shop, too, was really, I just loved it. They had organic food and great coffee. And I thought, if I ever decide to do a coffee shop, I want it to be just like this. Well, I'm a farmer's wife. I'm feeding guys. I'm never going to have a coffee shop. And so it was just ironic that I end up opening up a coffee shop and offering organic stuff. And
And wow, so you guys start having a conversation early about open up the coffee shop.
Right. And I don't know, we might even have to ask Scott this. I don't remember even thinking like we're going to get married and do this. It was like, let's just do this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It must have been. I don't know.
Did you ever run a business before?
No.
No? Mm-mm. And Scott just maybe experienced with his brother.
Just working it.
Yeah,
he
working.
Wasn't owning it. Yeah. So neither of us had owned any business at all, except for, farming is kind of like your own business, but nothing like running a brick and mortar.
Coffee shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, coffee shop takes a lot of customer service.
Yeah.
24 years later, you guys are still here.
Right.
Running strong.
Yeah.
Now, before you guys start the coffee shop, did you know what your job is going to be and what Scott's job is going to be?
I think we thought that Scott's job was going to be the whole thing because I knew nothing. I literally had to watch videos on how to make a cappuccino.
Really?
I did not know anything. I still drank coffee with cream and sugar.
Yeah.
And I really didn't drink espresso drinks or anything like that. So, I'd had one or two, but I did not know anything.
So when did you start slowly picking up the second year or?
Oh, no. The first
right
week.
Yeah. Oh, the first week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we were both working the job. I was still at my other job part-time, and then I would come down.
What time were you opening?
We were opening at that time at 5 a.m. and stayed open until 8 o'clock at night.
Oh, wow.
And then we would, work that for a little while and see nobody's coming at 5 o'clock. And so our hours changed a little bit the first probably 2 years until we really saw what Mason City, was going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first location was at the mall?
Yep.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yep.
7 days a week at the mall?
7 days a week. Yeah. We were 7 days a week for 20 years.
Oh, yeah, because you're telling me you just changed this one up not too long ago.
Yeah, right after COVID. Or right at the beginning of COVID, I'm sorry. Yeah. And Scott worked the majority of those. Maybe, I don't know, you're 17 or something. I said, I'm not working Sundays anymore. I'm going back to church.
Yeah, he's on his feet a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Man.
So sometimes when people say, I haven't had a day off, in 10 days, I just have to bite my tongue. You have no idea what work is. And we worked just he and I for the first year and a half. We did not have any employees for the first year and a half. We just wanted to keep sinking the money back into it. So we've never ran our business on debt.
On debt.
No.
Well, that's good.
Or with debt, I should say, that we've never had debt after that original, $5,000.
Yeah. So now, newlyweds, starting business, you are seeing each other 24/7.
Right. Yep.
Some people say that's a recipe for disaster in marriage. Mm-hmm. How did you? This is always my question for a couple who work together. How do you deal with the conflict at home and make sure you don't bring to work the next day? Because I have residual, sometimes anger when it comes to conflict. So it's the conflict is over the night before and everybody apologized and everything. If I'm on the right in the morning, I'm still feeling something in me. And I don't want to smile with you. I don't want to he. So it takes me a couple of days to work through and complete it out.
Right.
How did you guys deal with that? 7 days a week?
Yeah. Oh, that is a hard question. I think we didn't know any different to begin with, so it really wasn't so bad. That was it. And besides that, we only knew each other for 3 months, so there's that part too. The honeymoon stage, and that is all great. But we have to make a very conscious effort to have Candy and Scott as a couple, not Candy and Scott coworkers all the time. If we don't have a date time, it's just Scott and Candy Jitters 24/7. And because, I always say when you get home, like you and your wife, one of you gets home, you say, oh, what'd you do today? And they can tell you something that you already don't know, or, And my joke has always been, yeah, I know what you did because you got on my nerves. And, so it's really hard sometimes when you're sitting down at the table for dinner, because that was for me when I learned about what my kids did and you had family time and talk. It's always been super important.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to not talk about what just went on today.
Mm-hmm.
But with learning that, we also had to decide, like there's certain things that you're going to decide at work because you have the expertise on that.
Yeah.
And certain things that I wouldn't, so that we were both not trying to run the whole show.
Yeah.
Because when you're co-owners, which I never even see it as co, because I see Scott and I as one.
Yeah, it's one because you guys are married, so
Yeah.
it's not really co-owning.
Right, but
Yeah.
I get that. And
Yeah.
so to do that and to not have as much conflict, there is conflict if we don't decide, like Scott's always going to choose the beans
Yeah.
that we have, how they need to be roasted, what the blend is going to be, because he's
He
amazing
knows,
at
yeah.
that. And I might say, hey, we're going to get some new croissants in, but it's just because I think it's really important to talk about those
Yeah.
things. But I'm going to make the end decision when it comes to our pastries, things like that. And,
Yeah, please
obviously-
keep doing that. I don't
Keep
want
doing
Scott
that.
to make that decision.
But we really have to say, okay, we're not going to talk about it, work, because it's just, imagine if you got together with somebody else that you were a partner with, and you each have vested interest in it. You're probably going to have to talk about things you don't agree on.
Yeah.
And that can really trickle into me being mad at my husband along with the one
Yeah.
who is the owner.
That's true.
It's hard. We have to really try. And I truly get up in the morning. I believe in this so much, and it's easy to not do it, but just say, Lord, let me see the good, not only in my husband, but in customers. And, I look for that. And when I'm not looking for it, it's really easy to walk through the door and get nitpicky on
Little things.
little things.
Yeah.
And hey, I've done it.
Yeah.
But I try not to.
Well, I like that. I like that you don't look at him as your coworker. You just look at him as my husband. I just work with him. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's I think it changed the way you look at things.
Right. And Scott and I are so opposite on how we want to do things. Yet we have an incredibly successful, I believe, coffee shop. And, when I'm in here looking around, which I'm looking right now, and I see all this stuff, it drives me nuts. And then the next, I'll be saying that to myself, or even him, like, you seriously have another trinket out? And the next person will come in and say, I love this shop. I love looking at all these things. And I'm like, shut up.
Does when a customer says that, does Scott give you,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
did you hear that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I'll even admit it.
Now, how long were you guys at the mall?
We were at the mall for 15 years.
15 years.
Yep.
And then you guys moved at this location, which was also interesting story you told me.
Yeah.
Scott was not a big fan of this place.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
The drive-through did not.
Well, there was no drive-through at the time.
Oh, there was not drive-through?
No.
But-
He just said that it's the kiss of death. Nobody's going to follow us, and I said, oh, they will. We're moving 2 blocks. But I just said, I have more confidence in us and what we've built. And, hopefully you just see that. And
Yeah.
his mom and dad thought it was a bad idea. My mom and dad thought it was a bad idea.
Oh, so you was the only person thought this was a good idea?
Yeah.
Why?
I want to say it had to be a God thing.
Okay.
There was something about the last 2 years at the mall where we just started seeing a serious decline in the foot traffic, especially on weekends.
Okay.
So we had our regulars still coming, but we had lost that foot traffic. And so, I was just seeing stores close. And at the very end, we literally didn't have heat in our section of the coffee shop, that section of the mall. And there were people sitting in there with coats on. They couldn't even take their coats off. The mall at the time, I think they did the best they could, but they wanted us to pay for the repair of that. I'm like, I just leased this place. I'm not spending $20,000 on a heating system, or whatever it was. So we had a guy who came in and he said, I'm not supposed to be sharing this, but there's a building that's going to be available. And if I just give you this key, why don't you go down there, but don't say anything about it because it's,
go check it out.
Go check it out. And gosh, I can't even remember. It's terrible. That's what happens when you're like 58. Sometimes those little things in between just are gone.
That's why we're doing a podcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
So somebody else had mentioned it also. And so I'm thinking, well, that's, seems to be not a coincidence that somebody else is offering me a key. Someone else is, mentioning that you should go check this place out. So I checked it out secretly with that key that, I got to have for a day. And that's where I'm like, oh my gosh.
Did you bring Scott with you?
No.
Or you came by yourself? Because he was already apprehensive about moving. Yeah.
Yeah. He was apprehensive. Oh my gosh. A good month, I'm sure. And I think I just said, finally, like, I think you're just going to have to trust me.
Yeah.
Because we're not moving forward anymore here at the mall, and what do we have to lose? Because there's something, with statistics that if you move more than 2 miles away, you lose a considerable amount of customers. But if you're within that, and I'm thinking we're 2 blocks, and besides that, I think we have customers who will follow us if we moved across town. Anyway, I come down and take a look and find out that the gentleman who is going to be the landlord, if we take it, he actually works for my dad's uncle or great uncle or somewhere in the family. And so in my head, I'm thinking, well, maybe I can get a deal because this is kind of in the family. I didn't get a deal, which was okay, but I still prayed about it.
Yeah.
And we end up finding out that he is one of our really good customers' brothers.
Oh, really?
Which really comes to play, throughout the blessings that we had from leasing this place and all of the things they did for us, and that, we're, free of charge, all the painting and moving walls and putting a drive-through in and, just stuff we weren't expecting.
Also, after you guys made the deal, made the signing, whatever, then they did the drive-through?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Boy, that came handled on COVID time.
Oh my gosh. Yep, it did. It saved us. It was full. It was packed.
Oh, yeah. Because I think at that time, people who were really, really scared to be around other people, but they was also very, very coffee drinkers.
Right. You don't give up your coffee very easily.
Drive-through did it all.
Yep.
Are you poking Scott on that sometimes? Like, I told you it's going to work.
I haven't, but I might when I get home tonight.
I told you this is going to work.
I do think a few years in, he said, you know what, you were right.
Yeah.
This really has
It's
been
a hit.
Amazing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's great location.
Yeah, our business increased considerably.
After you
and
guys
we were
moved in.
easy access.
Yeah.
I mean, we were the first shop inside the mall doors. So it wasn't like people had to walk that far, but there's something about being able to park literally in front of a door and get out of your car or go through the drive-through, all the moms or, somebody maybe that's, I don't know, broken legs. We see people with stuff like that in the drive-through and you can still get your coffee.
Yeah, and sometimes it's wintertime, the car is warm. I don't want to get out in the cold. It's like, let me just drive by and get my drink and I'm out. It's like I don't need to get out the car and with 30 below.
Yeah, that's right.
With the wind chill. Yeah, so
it really takes it to 60 below. That's when you will find Jitters packed.
Oh, yeah?
We rarely close down, ever, regardless, unless it's truly unsafe. If it's a full-blown blizzard, you can't see. I'm not keeping my employees here. I don't want my customers out. But if it's just a cold day, this place is packed.
It will be packed.
Yep.
Yeah, and you and I talked about this in the past. It's like coffee shop is not just a coffee shop.
Right.
Most people is the socializing place. Most people is just like, I want to get out. I want to see people. I want to be around other people. Yeah. So I don't want to just be at the house. Because you can make coffee at your house.
Right.
You can make any drink you want to make.
You can make good coffee at your house when you have jitters.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you can make a drink at your house, but people coming to the coffee shop for different reason.
Yeah. Well, we see just all kinds of different groups. We see there's more men that meet together for coffee than women.
Yeah.
I think people always think women are always getting together doing that. I think there's more guys.
Yeah.
Bible study guys, work guys, men that are having meetings here.
Yeah.
All kinds of different, pastors from different churches.
I meet people at coffee shop all the time. It's like, hey, let's meet. That's the only place.
Right.
It's like,
it's just the atmosphere. It's fun.
It is.
You're in the middle of life going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We look at a lot of our customers. We say customers first, but they become family. We really get to know them. You talk to them almost every morning. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You learn about when people get married and babies and, even sad things of losing people. And some of these people have been coming in, for the whole time. And they really do become family. If we know that you're going to be here at 3:00 every day and you don't show up for 2-3 days, we're going by your house. If we have your number, which, after 20 years, you usually have their number for something. And we literally check on them and they'll say, hey, going to be gone on vacation for a week. So when you don't see me, it's just really this watching out for each other and taking care. And we've even, found out of some tragedies because.
Oh, yeah. You told me that story about you doing welfare check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the gentleman had been gone for a week.
Gosh.
So we think of those sorts of things and how people get so intertwined and become very important. And even when we interview somebody here, we really make a big point of, sharing with them that we're like family here. And to be, working with us is becoming a part of Jitters family. And that's more than just saying family. I mean, we're really close with each other when we're working and also the people that are out here too.
How much is your faith influence or help you to run the business?
Oh gosh, I would say it's got to be like close to 100%. And I really don't say that jokingly. I'm very serious. When I was 29 is when I was hospitalized with the eating disorder, and I almost died.
Oh, wow.
I wore a little girl's size 10 clothes. I'm almost 30 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, my former husband really did think this is it, and so I think I need to start looking at who's going to be, taking care of the kids while I'm in the field and things like that. And during that time is really when my faith became real to me. And I remember exactly the day. I don't know. I think I might have been in the hospital 6 months or something like that and would come home on weekends and go back. And I was finally well enough to go home, but going home still meant I'm going to have to eat. And I remember standing at my kitchen counter, and all I needed to do was eat some mashed potatoes. And at this point, there would be nothing on the mashed potatoes. That was like, no way. And I remember just slamming my fist on that counter and saying, God, if you are real and you say you will not give me any more than I can handle, I'm pegged out, do something. Yeah. And I don't even know where the thought pegged out came from because that's not really how I talk. But it was serious, like, this is it. I can't keep doing this. And I, at that moment forward, refused to say, you are ugly, you are fat, you are no good.
Is that where the eating disorder came from?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It was there was nothing good about me that I could say, and they were just repeats in my head all the time. And
is that crazy, though, how we think about ourselves compared to what other people see us?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I'm asked a question, and it sounds very arrogant, but when I can finish it off with, I have faith in God, I have faith in the fact that I'm doing what I really believe He was called me to do, and that doesn't mean He called me to make coffee. We truly are servants. And the joke is before in my incredibly privileged life that I had after I got married the first time, I just never was going to serve somebody. I mean, I could not imagine. And to me, that meant you got to boss me around, which is so weird. It was like, don't tell me what to do. And the one thing that I am doing is serving people. Yeah. And I love it, but I also realize that I see serving differently than I did back then. And that is it. So people will say, aren't you worried about the competition? And, when we started, we were the only coffee shop.
Yeah.
And now I don't even know what we have. We might have 8 or 9 or something like that. And I always say, no, I don't feel like I have any competition because I am truly doing everything to the best of my ability. I am treating people the best that I'm treating them the way I would want to be treated. And so I don't need to know what Starbucks is doing or Cabin or Scooters because it isn't going to change what I'm doing.
What I do, yeah.
And I think if you understand where that's coming from, then it's not arrogant. Like, I don't have competition. But I always have felt like I have faith in God in what we're doing. We thrived during COVID. You don't hear that for most people. Yeah. And to be married, honestly, for going on 25 years working together, that's a miracle in itself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It really is. So you think we must be doing something.
Oh, you might. You are doing something right.
Yeah. Or, even not that, but that it really is part of, the plan that God has had for us.
Yeah. Serving. That's an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah, I take orders all day long. And I do it exactly the way you want it.
Yep.
But I love that because I think that's really important. If you're going to give me your $5, you chose to spend it here. You worked hard for your money. You should get exactly what you asked for.
Service industry is a tough industry.
Oh, yeah.
All it takes is for you to make somebody's drink 2-3 times wrong before they stop coming.
Right.
So it's like, and I always keep that in the back of my mind. I'm conscious about the new people that are, okay, when you test your drink, it's a little bit different. And okay, this is a new employee.
Yeah.
He or she just started.
Yeah.
Give them a little time.
We like to think that they're going to be as close as to what we're doing when we let them start, but there's always a starting point.
Oh, yeah.
And, when they know how to texturize milk by the time they're up there, but they haven't fine-tuned it 100%. And so that is, we really take that into consideration when we allow our new employees to start making drinks, because going back to that you chose to come here and give us your money instead of, the coffee shop down the street. And we've always really thought, too, you can get coffee anywhere. There's a lot of people who are not picky about their coffee. But when you give amazing service, that's what they'll come back for. And then when you get the good coffee with it, it's just a bonus.
It's the bonus. Oh, yeah. When you guys were discussing this right after you got married, did you think about any other business or coffee shop was it? Or did you say, maybe let's open up a restaurant? Or did you just...
it was just coffee shop.
It was just coffee shop.
Yeah. And actually, might have been year 2, we actually opened another coffee shop.
Oh, yeah, you told me that story.
Yes.
In Clear Lake.
Yes. It was awful. The coffee shop wasn't awful. We had no life.
I was about to say, because you guys was already doing 7 days at the mall.
Yeah.
So how did you split that?
Well, one, I will preface, I did not want it at all. I was so against it.
To open a second.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was like, why wouldn't we just put all of our effort in one place? But it was Clear Lake, so we weren't, I think Scott's thought was we're not competing against each other so much. But he pretty much was at, I think he was mostly in Clear Lake, and I was in Mason. And we lived in Clear Lake at the time, so both of us, we were traveling, which isn't that far, but still, we traveled. I think I had 12 employees at that time.
12? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, between the 2 stores?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And towards the end, it was a successful shop, but I wanted to work hard, but I didn't want to not have a life.
Yeah.
And we had no life. You hardly have one when you work 7 days a week, but when you have 2 shops. And so we just decided to let that go and have Mason City be our main focus.
Are you glad you did that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because, I can only imagine, even the time you're not working for a few hours, you probably still getting phone calls
Yeah.
from employees.
Well, not too much.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, Liz is pretty amazing, and I've had great employees, and that's the other thing too. Like Scott and I both have always worked the business. We have been our employees. I feel like that has been part of the success, is to have seeing the owners there all the time, working, chatting with customers, and just that whole thing, being present.
Yeah.
And when we end up at a point where we leave 2 of our employees without us here, it's because we have full trust that they can actually handle things the way they know Scott and I would. So Scott and I, both had the afternoon off today.
Yeah.
And it really is only because I have trust in the ladies that are here, that they are going to be able to handle it all. So, that's another thing. Like, we don't just leave, think, okay, we don't have to work today. They're going to do a good job. So I don't get calls too often.
Oh, good. And Liz worked for you guys at the mall years ago?
Yeah.
Oh.
She worked for us for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so she's full seasoned.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to,
Yes, absolutely.
And she got a great customer service too. So she's a perfect. When did you become a vegan and why?
So I became a vegetarian first. I, as a child, was very allergic to milk. And I don't say intolerant because there's a big difference between intolerance and allergic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Intolerance, you get a stomach ache and you're a little bit uncomfortable, but allergic reactions, you have ulcers and you have just some serious things that go on with it. So I didn't eat dairy. And then I went full blown into just, I think I must have grown out of it a little bit or something. Cause I remember, like when I was raising my kids, the first portion, we ate pizza and I had milk and ate chicken and, just that typical meat and dairy diet.
Yep.
And I actually got sick with anorexia, and it became a control issue on food. And so not for a healthy reason, but I just little by little started giving up. Like I thought, I don't like the smell of that meat. And so I would eat less of it. And then I didn't like the taste of that meat. So then I just gave up meat. And then it became, the more I learned about things, the more I could justify not eating it. So then I got to the point where I wouldn't eat anything that came out of a can because there'd be aluminum in the can, and it just snowballed.
Yeah.
And so the start of it was not good, the reasons behind it. But, I don't eat dairy very often. I eat eggs sometimes because I can just tell my body needs these amino acids that you cannot get otherwise. So I have to disguise it in, like a sandwich or something like that. An egg, I would.
Okay.
But as far as the meat goes, I've never missed it. Never. And I think part of that might have been because of the stuff that I researched so that I could justify not eating it.
Yeah.
And I'm not an animal activist by all means, but I really do wish, this has probably nothing to do with it, but I wish people could pay or wanted to pay more attention to
what they're
eating, truly the health benefits of not having so much. But, if you want to eat meat, maybe consider finding a local farmer who treats them humanely and you can feel good about it, because even the trauma that animals go through when they're, being slaughtered for consumption, that adrenaline and stuff is in that meat.
What keep you up at night?
What keeps me up at night?
About life, about world. What keep you up at night?
Oh, my brain doesn't really shut off.
Oh, really?
No.
Thinking a lot?
I'm thinking all the time. Yeah, and it's exhausting sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's really exhausting.
Business life?
Business
grandkids.
life, yes. And often I never thought I would worry about my grandkids like I do, but I do quite a bit, actually. And I try to spend as much time, especially with the 2 that live 10 miles away here. It's easier to spend time with them. But I just have a burden for...
You worrying about what type of world they're going to be living in?
Yeah. And actually, that just makes me emotional because that's...
Yeah. I think that's important, actually, because I think Because if you don't worry about it, or the parents don't worry about it, who will?
Right.
So it's like, that's why you always constantly want to make sure you leave the world a better place for them.
Right.
And you hope that when it's their time, they're going to also make the world a better place for their next generation.
Right.
So I think it's crucial even having this conversation with the grandkids, because it's like, they're what? Savannah's the oldest?
Yep, Savannah's 15.
Yeah, so it's like they're 15 right now. Probably they're just more concerned about new pair of shoes and stuff like that. It's like they're not real thinking about, okay, how's the world is going to look like 20 years from now?
No,
it's
I
like,
don't think so.
So these are the decisions we are making for them, actually, because they're not.
Well, I think about Savannah so much, especially. Well, I think about both the girls, so make sure I say that. But she's the one who works here because she's old enough to, and she wanted a job in the first place.
Yeah,
and I think that's great that she wasn't just expecting, that her parents were going to give her the money that she needed to buy those new shoes. She actually wanted to make some of her own money for that. And the best thing about it every day, I don't ever want her to screw up orders or anything, but she will stop what she's doing and come give me a hug and say, "Good morning, Grandma Candy."
Oh, wow.
Or if I'm not here, when she gets here, I get the text that says, "Are you going to be here today?"
Oh.
But easily in the shift that she's here for 4 hours on a Saturday, I know I get at least 4 hugs that she just comes and hugs me. And that means more to me than anything because she doesn't have to. And Elena isn't quite as much of a hugger as her, but it just blesses me.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah.
Yeah. Grandkids change grandparents, man.
Yeah.
Who do you think had the most influence in your life growing up until today?
I am going to say my former husband.
Okay.
His grandma, Irene. She, because I was so young, also it was like somebody coming into your life when you're a teenager. They're there for a long time. And she lived just around the corner from us, about a mile away. She taught me so much about the kitchen. She taught me about life. She had my girls every weekend. Yeah. She wanted them. So they were in the kitchen with Grandma Irene. I don't know. I just feel like I was at that age where maybe she took me under her wing, even though it wasn't like I needed that. But she taught me so many things that I would not have known. I know how to can because of Irene. Christmas cookies around Christmas time, you wouldn't believe what I can pump out. And part of that is because that's what we did. It was nothing for us to make 18 dozen pieces of lefse or, like 12 different cookies, and we'd do 6 dozen each. And it was just fun. Nice. There was just something about that. But I learned a lot about being a wife and a mother. And to me, that was what I always wanted to do. I wanted to be a wife and a mother, and I wanted to be a good one. And I really think, Irene would be the one who had the most influence on me.
Nice. What one thing, or maybe some things, people will be real surprised to know about you? They don't know. It's like, what?
Well, now they know I've been a vegan for 30 years.
Oh, 30?
Yeah.
Jeez. And how long were you a vegetarian before?
Oh, I shouldn't say I'm a vegan. I always thought it's not my identity. I eat a vegan diet. Oh. It was my identity during the eating disorder because I needed a different identity. So when I say I'm a vegan, I hear it so fast of I am not. I'm Candy and I eat a vegan diet. To me, there's a huge difference there. Something that would surprise somebody, I haven't done it, but I have secretly wanted a tattoo for maybe 30 some years.
Oh, really?
And I don't have one. Probably won't ever get one, but I think if there was a rebellious side in me, it would be just to do something like that. But if I did, which I probably won't, it would have to be a cross, and it would have to, have my daughter's birth flowers or something. There would have to be so much meaning behind it that I could ever justify it. But I can tell you about 99.9% sure I won't ever do it.
You afraid to die?
No.
No.
No, I really never have been.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, wow.
I don't want to suffer in any way.
Yeah.
But I'm not. And I hope that I treat my family and my friends in a way that if I did, leave this earth today, that they would be okay with that.
What legacy do you want to leave behind?
Oh my gosh. Well, first I want the legacy of God.
Yeah.
The Christ in my life, but I don't, I could think on it really hard, but what mostly comes to my mind is that I have been a good wife, a good mother, and now a good grandmother. That is the most important thing to me, is my relationship with God, the people in my life and God. And really, if it's right with God, it should be right with the
people.
other.
Yeah. Then you start doing the 3. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
What is that, and why is that so important to you?
Okay, gosh, this is probably the one that I'd be the most nervous about, which is so silly. So nutrition has been very important to me my whole life. Yeah. I mean, even as a young kid, I was that weird kid standing in the living room. I don't even know what they called it now, but they would have like this music that was rolling on the television, and I would do an 11-minute run. I'm 10 years old and I'm doing these, workouts and weird stuff like that. I've also been sick a good share of my life with, really serious stomach issues. Ended up with osteoarthritis from my neck to my feet, cancer when I was 50. So for a person who has tried to take care of herself her whole life, eating mostly organic, the vegan diet for 30 years, all I could say when I got cancer was, wow, I wonder how bad it would have been had I not, instead of the opposite way saying, what good did this do me? You can look at it both ways. And I just chose to think, well, I think it would have been worse if I wasn't taking care of myself. And so even with that, I ended up really so sick that I needed to go to the doctor and get medications. And to the point where I thought, I'm really not even sure that I'm going to be able to continue at work because I can't use my hands. I can't stand. I can't do a lot of things, which I think I hit it really well. I'm not sure how many people,
I did not know,
could look at me and see where I was. Yeah. And had taken every expensive supplement, cheap supplement. I never stopped trying to find something naturally that would make me feel better. So anyway, I've gone to the doctor, got prescription, which, I think that's important too. There's a lot of times we need medications. A lot of times we're just not doing, some things that we need to ourselves that we can fix. So I wasn't sure where I was at with this. Well, my youngest daughter, introduced me to this product. They just so happened to be having an event at her dental office, which you think, what does that have to do with the dental? Well, she just really saw the unhealthy mouth all the time. She's a dental hygienist, and thought there has to be something between the gut and the mouth health. Yeah. And I really need to get to the bottom of this. And so she has, this team come in and do an event, and I'm like, okay, I'll try it. And of course, when I told Scott, he said, you are such a sucker. You would try anything. And I'm like, well, of course I would. I'm trying to feel better. And that's just who I am. And so lo and behold, 2 weeks in, I cannot believe how different I feel. And part of that in my head thought, I am truly one of those people that the placebo effect could be real. You tell me it. And I really believe it. I'm going to say, yeah, I feel better. And so I kind of thought that might be it, because this is too good to be true. Stopped taking them maybe after 6 weeks just to see if that was. And I couldn't believe how the pain in my hands came back, and my back and my stomach. I literally, prior to that, could not eat or drink anything without serious pain, even a cup of water, the coffee. And I know you've heard part of this before, but you can't stop eating, and I'm never going to do that again. So I knew I either am not going to eat and feel sick because I'm hungry, or I'm going to eat and I'm going to feel sick because I ate. It was a horrible place to be.
Yeah.
And that,
because you told me even sitting down sometimes was painful.
yeah, everything. It did not. It was just, there was no life. I had no quality of life left. And as my youngest daughter, talked, she remembered me not being able to hold my grandsons. And that made her sad, like seeing me, like I cannot hold them. And yeah, it was terrible. I hardly even remember that, honestly.
Yeah.
It hasn't been that long, but I saw dramatic change.
Yeah.
And after about 9 months of taking the supplements, I'm busy. I don't have time to do another, be another entrepreneur on something.
Yeah.
But the difference that I felt, and I got my life back. I don't take any medication. I never, ever have a stomach ache ever anymore. And a stomach ache doesn't even give it just, And so I decided I can't not share this.
Yeah.
That I know so many people who are suffering. Almost every single one of us has some kind of immune disorder of some sort. And if not now, it's probably not too far behind, given the stress that we have and the way we eat and things like that.
I was told when you told me Scott got sold to it.
Yeah, Scott was absolutely not willing to take one of the supplements because, again, he just thought, here she goes, which he never said no, don't, or whatever, because he wanted me to feel better too, but I don't think he had any faith that it was going to be any different. And so Scott has had a pretty serious issue with his feet and the lower legs with a really fairly rare type of arthritis.
Yeah,
psoriatic.
and it could be extending up for that many, many years. Yeah.
Yep. And so he decided,
let me try.
I'm going to give it a whirl. And he was all in enough so that he saw dramatic changes as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it was night and day for him.
Yeah, because when he told me, it's like, this stuff real.
Yep.
I was like.
For him to share that.
Yeah, I was like, you believe it? Huh. I'm going to definitely come to the class and listen to it if you believe it.
Yeah, I never expected that, actually, just the opposite, because, he doesn't want to talk in front of people. He certainly doesn't like talking about, something when he isn't feeling well.
Yeah.
Is not one to share it with the world. So here I am doing that.
I told him if he's not going to be here, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And the company name is 3.
Yes, it's just 3 International.
3 International.
And it's a brand new, launched 19 months ago. We're in 15 countries. So on day one.
Oh, we just launched 19 months ago? 19
months ago. And we immediately, that very first day, launched into 15 countries.
Okay.
This company is the only company that's ever been in the PDR, the Physician's Desk Reference. So the credibility behind them is part of why I have done that also, not just the fact that they work, but their values and the systems that they have in place and truly the care they have for, the people like myself that have decided to go out and share it. Somebody asked me, I was at a 3 regional event, and this lady said, are you sick of customers? Are you sick of people? And she says, my daughter has a coffee shop, and she's from Wisconsin, and said she's sick of people. Yeah. And for a minute, I sat there, and I feel like I should say to her, yes, I am. And I said, actually, no, I'm really not. And I said, I still like going to work. I still like the people. But that goes back to when you were asking me, like, my faith and why I'm doing, because I really feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and what I'm called to do, and I still enjoy it. I'm tired some days, it's just like everything, but I'm not ready to be done.
That's an interesting question and very honest question, actually, though.
Yeah.
When I'm sick of people, I can go to work and go to my office and shut the door.
Right. Yeah, I cannot.
Where you can work it, where are you going to retrieve to?
Yeah.
And because you can try to retrieve in the back, and the moment somebody like me comes in, is candy here?
Yeah.
And then you got to come out.
Every now and then I say, you guys, I'm not here.
Yeah. And then,
I am here, but I am not here.
Yeah. And then you got to smile all the time. I think it's a tough business, especially if it's not your calling.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we wouldn't still be doing this if it wasn't.
Yeah.
For sure.
Wow. Well, Candy, thank you very much, man. This was fun. I knew it was gonna be fun.
It has been fun.
Yeah, it's gonna. Yeah, I knew it was gonna be fun.
Yeah, I feel like a celebrity with these earphones on and the microphone and everything. Like, oh.
Well, we could do a video then.
No,
then we could put it on YouTube.
That's going too far.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This has been great.
Thanks for everything you and Scott are doing here. And by the way, I will be amiss not to say this. Thank you very much for allowing me to do a podcast in here. For everybody who knows, when I started doing podcasts, I did not know where to do my podcast. And I was kind of contemplating here and there. And I don't know if it was my friend Bill or somebody suggested, it's like, oh, you can do a Jitters. And I was like, well, let me go talk to Scott and Candy and see if that's even an option. Mm-hmm. And I remember I came in, you were gone. I had a conversation with Scott, and Scott was like, yeah, I'll talk to Candy. I don't think that'll be a problem. And I was planning to talk to you guys about paying rent every time I'm doing it. And next time I'm coming in, Scott got the spare key for me. It's like, oh, here's the key. And I'm like, well, did you talk to Candy about how much I need to pay? And Scott was like, we don't want your money. Just come in as please. So I really appreciate it, because it has been a great place for me to do a podcast.
Well, we're happy to have been able to help you launch that, and you're a blessing to us too. So I'm glad that we're able to somehow just give back in some little way like that.
Yeah, so thank you very much. And me and Professor Ronnie, we always remember to mention Jitters when we're doing our episodes.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so thank you. Well, that was Candy, man, from Jitters Coffee Bar. Thank you very much, Candy.